For question 2 of my A-level media project evaluation, I need to discuss how my product engages with audience and how it would be distributed as a real media text. Our target demographic was those who liked horror films. Pre-filming, I sent out a form asking various questions about horror movies to see what captures audiences' attentions and to also see what their favourite movies of a similar genre were, as we could then study the techniques used to produce and market these films. After doing some secondary research, most horror films of a similar genre and style target those from the ages of 15 to 25. This is the age group that interacts with horror-themed films the most. I also did some secondary research on Pearl and Dean, comparing gender's relationship to the interaction with horror films. We aimed for our movie to be psychological and scary, as my primary research showed that this is what people expected from horror films. I looked at a similar theme movie, Black Phone 2, which showed a male audience of 67%. I also looked at an upcoming movie with a similar theme of people disappearing, called Until Dawn, which also had an expected male interaction percentage of 58%. Although there is not a significant difference in who interacts with horror movies the most, our ideal profile demographic builds to be a male between the ages of 15 and 25. Based off of this information, this is what I would imagine a member of our target demographic to look like. I input information about our target demographic into ChatGPT to create this image. I would expect someone of our typical demographic to work in a non-office-based job. Horror films are tempting to most people as they keep people engaged with their thrilling and scary aspects. From this information, I'd expect them to have a similar occupation, being something that they enjoy but also keeps them engaged. As well as enjoying watching horror movies, I'd assume that they'd like activities or sport with a thrilling aspect, such as rock climbing or going to theme parks. The general idea of the typical audience member I would imagine would be someone who enjoys the more exciting things about life and doesn't mind a scare or a bit of danger. But I'd also consider them being able to pay attention to detail, as in many horror films, if you blink, you'll miss things. We follow this idea with the ending of our movie being click, blink, gone. Our film also has those tempting aspects, like the cliffhanger of where our missing people went, what happened to them, but more importantly, who happened to them. Who is the click? Is it a person? And why did the people disappear? As our movie theme is horror, we would likely follow the typical release strategy of other movies, like The Conjuring and Smile. We would likely use a traditional distribution method by initially releasing in cinemas. We would make it mainstream in popular cinemas like Showcase or equivalents, as horror does not fit with a niche market, but instead has a large potential audience. However, with social media and online streaming services becoming increasingly popular, we would release our film on services like Prime and Netflix within the first 2 to 3 months of release. This is so that we could still benefit off of our marketing being relatively recent. If we wanted to showcase our film at any film festivals, we would have to pick one that had an overall horror theme, such as Screamfest, Brooklyn Horror Film Festival, and Fright Fest. Here is an example of how we would expect this advertising to present.